Okay, guys. Hey, welcome to Fearless Cooking. I am glad you guys are joining. I had to ask Jude before we started, is it Labor Day or Memorial Day? Because I always get them confused. And then I realized, well, Labor Day is associated with opening a dove season. So maybe I'll be able to remember it from now on. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. Today I think that I just discovered my favorite way to cook fish. And I love fish, but today, not only do I think you'll get introduced to a new way to cook fish, but also I'm going to tell you be sure that you save the poaching liquid because I'll tell you, as we're going to have a couple of minutes to talk in here while we're waiting on the fish to poach, there's an incredible soup that you can make with the poaching liquid. So anyway, what we're doing today is we're going to do salmon poached in coconut milk. And I was trying to think of, okay, what's something kind of a refreshing salad, right? Because, this time of year in a lot of parts of the country, they're starting to get like some hints of it's going to get cooler. Hell no, not here, right? I mean, okay, yes, we can celebrate that maybe the high today is only going to be 94, but I think later in the week it's in the upper 90s. So I was like, okay, what's a salad that would be refreshing, that would be a nice counterpoint to the fish? So we're going to do a watermelon salad today. So I thought what we'd do is we'll make.
Before you get started, you want to remind people if they have questions?
Yeah, so if you have questions, there's a chat feature and there's a question. You can go through either route, and that'll give the question to Jude, and then she can relay it to me.
Great, thanks.
Okay? So one of the things that I always stress in all the emails is make sure that you prep the ingredients before we start. Just because trying to watch what I'm doing on the screen and you're cutting stuff up, and it's a great way to lose the tip of a finger. So, but what I am going to do is I'm going to prep a couple of the things here because I realize the instructions were not necessarily intuitive. And the other thing that I was going to do, well, I tell you what, I'm going to go through the ingredients first. Then I'll go back to what I was going to say just a second ago. All right. So for the watermelon salad, we've got, this is mint. This is Italian parsley, cucumber that I've already cut up, and this is that. Apologize, guys. This is the cucumber I left out of the initial ingredients, and hopefully everybody got the update. That it called for 2 large tomatoes. What I did is I just said, okay, that's approximately 2 large tomatoes worth of cherry tomatoes that I chopped. This is a small red onion. I'll just salt and pepper to taste. And these are Kalamata olives and feta cheese. And I'm just going to crumble the feta in. And then we're going to add olive oil and red wine vinegar. All right. So what I'm going to do, I've already got that. If it looks like, man, that's a lot of watermelon, it is. That's probably closer to 5 cups. I was like, all right, I think this is estimated about 3 cups. I was like, okay, for an exercise, let's measure it. Well, I realized I kind of I'm heavy-handed. So that's about 5. It's really right at 5 cups. Which the nice thing about a salad like this, let's say that you're going, man, I'm kind of sensitive to raw onions. You can either leave them out or just put a small amount in. The other thing I read the other day, and I haven't tried it yet, they say that if you soak onions in cold water for about 20 or 30 minutes and discard the water, that it tames the onion a little bit. So I'm going to give that one a try. I didn't do it with this, but I'll do it in the coming weeks and we'll see how it works. So I'm going to go ahead, make the watermelon salad, get that out of the way, and then we'll start working on the fish. And this is one of those things where it's like, let's get all this done so that way we can focus on the other, and then we'll do any of the prep steps first, then we'll start the fish. And I'll move this over kind of front and center when we're going to do that. So here's the red onion going in there. I'm just going to dump it in. All right, I'm going to dump the tomatoes in, and then I'm going to dump the cucumber in. And the Kalamata olives. This is the mint.
Did you chop that pretty fine?
I didn't, I just kind of rough chopped it. And then I didn't chop, in fact, yeah, I kind of rough chopped the Italian parsley. Let's see if there's any real offending pieces. Yeah, that's a little excessive there. We'll chop that one down just a little bit more. Get that out of the way. And so let me clear this so you can see what I'm doing. You know, I noticed a couple of times while I was cutting stuff over the last couple of days, it's like, wow, I'm glad I wasn't like firmly committed on that stroke, because I actually like caught it just as it was starting to hit my thumbnail or my fingernail and went, huh, okay, Brown, you're not doing a very good job of practicing what you're always preaching. What you want to do when you cut stuff is that you're using the claw, right? So you're using this part of your finger as a guide, okay, or kind of as a stopgap. So that way, you know, and what I think I did is just what I did then. Something was kind of out of the way, so I started to push it forward with my thumb. Well, if you're not careful, that's a great way to have a shorter thumb. So anyway, that's all in there now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and salt and pepper it. And I'm just kind of, okay, that looks good. Same thing with the pepper, just kind of, most things, when I call this beardless cooking, I put measurements in here just to kind of give you some ballparks. But one of the things that I encourage people to do is you want to play with your food, right? In other words, you want to get to where you go, okay, I don't have to measure it out. I'm going to look and see what looks right. I'm going to taste it. Okay, I can make adjustments. That's like with the feta. I didn't measure it out because what I want to do is crumble it up in there, make sure I get kind of good distribution. I mean, here's what we've got right now. So I'm just going to take the feta.
Especially since you have a little extra
Watermelon? Yeah.
in there.
Yeah. So here's a piece of feta, okay? I don't know if I'll put all this in there or not, but what I'm doing is I'm just going to crumble it. Whoops, that was a big piece of onion, so I'm going to crumble it. And if you don't use feta, man, you're missing an opportunity, because it adds so much personality to food. You know, it's creamy, it's salty, it's got great acid. It really can kind of add so many different flavor components to food.
So it does look like you're putting a bit more than what the recipe calls for.
Yeah, well, you know, I actually, you know, I think I could even go in more than that in there, but I'm going to mix that around. And this is, you know, one of the things that a lot of times people comment if I posted something on Instagram, it's like, man, your food looks so colorful. You know, when I'm fixing food, I want it to be visually appealing, not because it's great looking on Instagram, because I want to eat good looking food. Because it's like, if there's, I mean, the idea of eating canned food all the time, just, you know, it's like, why bother? Because a lot of the phytonutrients, a lot of the things that are good for you in food come from the colors. So it's like, you want to make sure, I mean, they talk about eating the rainbow, and it really is, you want a variety of things in the food that you're fixing, just so that you get a more, you know, kind of diverse source of nutrients. So anyway, here's where we are. I'm going to turn that up so you can see it. Okay, so that's what we are right now. Now then, we're going to put the dressing on it. And this is red wine vinegar. And, you know, I never realized, I always thought that vinegar would last forever, but I was getting ready to use some the other day, and it had like flakes in it. And I don't know if it had started to kind of, I had one once before that was almost solidified inside. So just periodically, you know, sample whatever it is, like what, I mean, with olive oil and stuff, that stuff has a definite shelf life. It will oxidize over time and become rancid. Not so much with vinegar because of the acidity that's in it, but just check it, make sure, you know, that it's good quality. And then if it, you know, vinegar's not that expensive, if it doesn't look like it, you know, it did like you remembered it, toss it and buy some more. So I'm just, there we go.
This is going to be one of those where you just sort of drizzle to taste.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to do now is just Same thing with olive oil. And this is a good organic olive oil that I get at Costco. For anything like that, like for cooking, I use this stuff from Costco, and it's where is it from? It's all from, I think this is all from Italy. Yeah, and I like it a lot, but this I just decided, oh, let's see what that's like, and I've liked it so far. So I'm just going to stir it up with a spoon, and then have a taste to see if it is all like melded, and see if it needs anything. Wow. No, I think it's pretty good just like it is. All right. So now then, I'm going to move the Feta out. In fact, I'll stick the Feta back in the fridge. I'll put this over here. And I'll move. I'm not going to like this just yet because we got a couple of prep steps to do. I'll just put this here for the time being. Okay, so a long time ago when I would cook, I would just be like chopping stuff kind of as I was going along. And as I started getting interested in cooking, I kept hearing the same message over and over again. And I'm going to butcher the French pronunciation, but I think it's mise en place. It basically means have everything prepared and close, have it in place, right? So it's like have it near where you're cooking so that you're not like scrambling around. So anyway, what we're going to do.
It's like when you started doing that, I noticed it's just more joyful. You have more fun with cooking by doing that. Because
it takes the hassle out of it, right? You're not frustrated going, damn it, where did I put that, right? It's all there. And it just is a lot easier, I think. And I think it made cooking for me a lot more enjoyable. So what we're going to do now.
Do you want to talk about all the different ingredients?
Perfect. Thank you. So what we're going to use for the fish, I've got the coconut milk here, and this is full fat coconut. I always, I don't buy everything organic, but with stuff like this, I want it organic. So I use, what is this? This is Thai Kitchen. I got that for a while. They were had it at Costco, and I bought like cases of it. Now they're not carrying it now, so I'm probably just going to start buying the 365 full fat organic from Whole Foods. So I'm going to salt and pepper to taste. This is jalapenos. Most of the seeds are gone. I just cut it on a bias. This is 3 cloves of ginger. It calls for 2 shallots. I just had a great big one, so I just used the 1 shallot. This is about a tablespoon of fish sauce, and this is the fish sauce that I use. I either try and use this or Red Boat.
Can you tell us the name of that?
Yeah, it's called Mega Chef, and it's premium fish sauce. What I like about it, and all fish sauce is anchovies. It's anchovies and salt that they age. Mm-hmm. But what it does is that it's real high in something called glutamate, which is like monosodium glutamate, but this is a natural glutamate. Okay, and what it does is it is just this tremendous flavor enhancer. It adds umami, so it adds this savoriness.
I have a quick question from one of the participants. They want to know how deep a pan you're going to be using. Should they use a Dutch oven if theirs is not as deep?
Yeah, so Dutch oven would work fine. Okay, so because what you're going to want, I mean, this one is probably, what is that? That's about 2.5 inches deep. Okay, so it's not like a thin skillet, but the main thing is something that has a lid on it.
Especially if you've got 2 sort of whole cans of
and here's the thing, like I said, you definitely want to save the sauce, so you want the full 2 cans, just so that you've got some stuff for soup stock.
I'm going to interrupt you with one other thing. I also noticed you put in a jalapeno.
Yes.
That's a little bit different than the pepper suggested in the recipe?
Well, actually, the recipe that I put out to everybody, I ripped this one off from, who did I use? And I mentioned it in the Facebook post, I used, Serious Eats is where I got the fish, and then the watermelon I think it was New York Times.
Okay.
So anyway, yes, a Dutch oven would work great. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So back to the ingredients.
Back to the ingredients. No, not a problem. No. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel I'm going to remove a chunk of the peel from the lime. Okay. And I'm just using a paring knife, and I'm just cutting it real thin. And that's one piece. I'm going to do another piece. And we're just going to put this in while it cooks, and it just kind of helps add some of that flavor.
Oh, into the fish.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. What amazed Jude and I whenever when I did this thing as kind of a test run, was just all of the incredible flavors that you get. All right. So this is 3 pieces. All right. You know, I don't know, what is that, about an inch wide? All these are. All right. So we're going to put that in.
And it looks like you also have lemongrass. There's a few other things.
Yeah, and so what I'm going to do with the lemongrass is all right, so I've got lemongrass is back here on the back. So we're going to take the lemongrass. Let me see if I can move this stuff so that you can see it. I'm just going to smash it. All right, let's just do it like this.
Watch out for your wine there, too.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you that today's wine is Belarus, I guess, or Belarus. Hell, it's probably French, so I'm butchering the name. But anyway, it's a Côte d'Aron rosé, and I love it. So anyway, that's all right. So all I'm doing with the lemongrass, I cut it into thirds, is you just take the flat of the knife, you just lay the knife down on it like this, and just smash it. All right, and obviously we're going to fish this out after we're done, just so that it's not, you know,
we don't eat the lemongrass.
We don't eat the lemongrass. The lemongrass is there for one reason, and that is to provide flavor. Okay, let's cut this little end off here. But it's super fibrous. All right, so here's the lemongrass, and then the last thing that I'm preparing is ginger, and I use a spoon to take the skin off the ginger, and I just rub it across it just like that. That way you're not, you don't have to worry about cutting a finger off. Also, you're not taking a whole bunch of the meat of the ginger, just the skin. And this is one that you don't chop it. All you're doing is just we're going to slice it real thin. Some of these little kind of knobs on the ginger, makes it a little tougher to get to, but and if there's a tiny bit left on there, it's not going to be the end of the world. But what I find is I actually like to eat it once it's been part of the poaching liquid. All right, get this out of the way.
You like to eat what?
The ginger, those big slices that are in there. Yeah. Because all of those flavors just meld together so well.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to slice the ginger. So we got this, and I'm moving that out, moving the lemongrass out of the way. All right, so when I'm done with this, I'll do the knife. So I'm just going to cut that little knob off. And once again, I'm using that claw with my fingers, just making it real thin. I want to cut it. In fact, what I'm going to do now is I like to have something kind of flat. So I cut a piece off. Now I've got a flat spot for the ginger to rest on, so it's not rocking around whenever I'm trying to cut it. And if it starts to get, like right now, it's kind of unstable, so I put it on even a wider spot. So, because even if it's like kind of thin or like almost like matchsticks, that's fine. All right, so here we go. So we've got the ginger done.
It smells heavenly.
Oh, I know, it smells great. All right, so I think we've pretty much got. All right, so what I'm going to do is All right, the fish. This is a piece, and this is going to go in there with it. This is Thai basil that I had in the backyard, and this is cilantro that I got from Whole Foods or Central Market. I don't remember which one I got it from. What and you can see I've kind of butchered the fish up, because when I got this was coho salmon that I got from Costco. And normally they're pretty good about getting all the pin bones out. Man, I was picking all kinds of ones out of there this time, and I'm sure there's probably still some more in there. And the tweezers that I had, I was having a hard time getting it out. I was using, I tried these. This is kind of an offset pair that I have. This is a regular one. I finally was like, all right, the hell with it. So went out, got my needle nose pliers from the garage, came in, washed them with soap and water, got them real, hot soapy water. Then I took Dripping Springs vodka, okay, and really doused them with that and let them hang out in that for a little while. So,
sterilize it. That was
because I'm going, okay, I don't want to use rubbing alcohol on something I'm going to put with food. So it's like, all right, that's probably about as close to, disinfected as it was going to get.
Creative approach.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, I've got everything ready here. Once I get, I'm going to look here. Even though I have to look at my own stuff here every once in a while. So we're going to start off with the shallots, the garlic, and the peppers. All right. We're going to saute those, and I'm going to use avocado oil, and it'll probably be about a tablespoon of that. And I can warn you, whenever you saute the jalapenos, it's like, take a deep breath first. This stuff, the fumes off this is noxious as hell. It's like, I think it is a strong upper respiratory irritant. So anyway, yeah, so we're going to do that. Then we'll put the coconut milk in, and then we'll put everything else in. I'll squeeze the juice from the limes. I'll put the garlic. The garlic and the ginger are going to go in first. The garlic, ginger, and the jalapenos, and then everything else goes in.
And shallots, it said, yes, the shallots?
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's what this is, the shallots, not onions, yeah. All right, so where did I put my, here it is. All right. Okay.
So it should be cooked over a medium heat, medium high?
Yeah, because once we start with the coconut milk and the poaching, we actually just want it simmering.
Okay.
We're not.
But for this, for the
yeah, for this,
sauteing?
it's going to be, and this isn't. That's just like a moderate flame. Okay. All right. We'll let it heat just a second. Grab my have everything in right place. I was wrong. I didn't do it. I know. I just want to lower the bar so that everybody else doesn't feel, damn, how does he do that? All right. And that didn't like sizzle, but it's okay, because what I'm not like worried about getting like a super high caramelization on this. I want to just basically soften them. It's almost more like I'm sweating them.
So those are the shallots you just put in? Okay.
I'm just going to wait and let it get just a little bit further along. Just a touch of salt in.
Here it starts to sizzle.
Yeah, and you can smell it too.
Yeah.
All right, put the garlic in. And I didn't cut that up super fine, just because to me it's easier for it to burn when you chop it like super fine.
And then what was the last thing you just put in?
The last thing I put in were the jalapenos.
Okay. Get ready.
Yeah. Yeah, these will open your sinuses. I was in forgot what hotel it was, and they had an omelet station downstairs. So I asked for jalapenos in mine. The guy had it right there on the deal. So man, the second that he put those things in and they started cooking, it's like, man, that whole area cleared because those things were so strong. And it was just like, I mean, it was almost like you felt like you'd been tear gassed.
What are you looking for? How?
So yeah. So what I want to do is I want the shallots to just like soften a little bit, get more translucent. Okay. Yeah. I want to gag a little. You know, I want to have my breath taken away by the jalapenos. Damn, those are strong.
Your eyes water.
It really does. I've done that before in a wok and like with a lot of oil in it, and I mean it cleared the house. All right, that's getting close because what I don't want to do is I don't want to burn the garlic or the shallot. So now I'm going to pour the coconut milk in.
Okay.
So there's 1 can.
Can you keep the heat at the same?
For right now, because I'm just letting it get it, you know, whoa, there we go.
Oh,
That's hot too. Okay.
no.
All right. Now then I'm going to put everything in the salad. So fish sauce, ginger, lemongrass, lime peel. Go ahead and squeeze our limes out.
How many limes?
I'm going to put 2 in.
Okay.
Yep. 1, 2. 3, 4. So,
We got another question. The salmon has skin on it. Will it be easier to take off once it's cooked?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to cook it with the skin?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing with mine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to nestle the salmon in there.
Apparently not everyone in this person's house will eat it. Will eat the skin. So.
You know, what I like is I like the skin whenever it is cooked like crispy.
But not, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, when it's soft, that's kind of tough.
Okay, so I noticed you cut it in half.
Yeah, but it's because the piece of salmon I had was so big that it wouldn't fit, and I want to get it down in there.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's getting pretty warm. And then I'm going to put the herbs in there.
All right.
And I didn't salt it ahead of time, so what I'm going to do is just hit the whole thing with a little salt and pepper.
You didn't salt the fish ahead of time?
So I'm going to do, I always have paper towels in my pocket. It's like my kids, my kids tease me about that. In fact, well, Dad will always have a paper towel. All right, and then pepper. There we go. All right. Now then, I'm going to turn the heat down because what I want is I want it simmering. That was turning it up. There we go. Okay. Yeah. And you know what we're going to do is I'm going to put the lid on it and we're going to check it in 5 minutes. Now, so.
You want me to set the timer?
Yeah, that'd be great. So the other day when I was practicing this, I had a real thick piece of salmon and I took it right out of the refrigerator. It was sitting on ice and I put it in the skillet and set the timer, and 5 minutes later it's like 90, no, it's probably like 80 degrees. So it took probably closer to 30 minutes then. But there.
So this time you took it out.
So yeah, this time I took it out like about 40 minutes, or probably an hour ahead of when I put it in there, just to kind of let it get closer to room temp. So, we'll check it. I want it about 130,
Okay.
depending on how done you like yours. To me, the worst insult that you can pay to ingredients is overcook them.
Yeah.
And, granted, if somebody has, if they're immune compromised, or cooking for somebody that is, obviously you've got to pay a little more attention. But, I want the, most proteins that I do. Yeah, I don't want chicken medium rare, but I also don't cook chicken to 165. I cook it typically to at least 150 to 153 and hold it there for at least 3 minutes, which is going to accomplish the same thing as the 165. So anyway, we're going to let this hang out for a few minutes. We got about 3.5 minutes left, and before we check it. What I was going to say, what we did with the broth that was left was that I took grilled chicken thighs. What else did I use? I used kale and shiitake mushrooms and put that, and then added a little bit of chicken stock to it and made a soup with it. And it was incredible.
It was pretty fabulous.
So
you get several meals out of that.
Yeah. So the thing is, I think you'll see that the flavor profile in this is dynamite. I think this is really kind of along the lines of like a Thai flavor profile. And I probably went to Thai restaurants, since I have lived in Austin, but I realized that flavor profile is one that I really like. The whole lime, jalapeno, coconut milk, all that stuff together just fits together nicely.
So what are you thinking about how to serve this too? Are you going to serve it over something?
Yeah, so the last time I fixed this, we just had it, just the fish, and then we had the watermelon salad. I'm probably going to go ahead and fix, I know this is going to sound crazy for me, but I'm probably going to fix some jasmine rice and have this over jasmine rice. You could also do it over cauliflower rice. You could do it, I'm hesitant to recommend brown rice, which is so funny because all during my, heart healthy whole grain days, the only thing I would ever eat would be brown rice. But what I found is that, yes, there is some nutrient in that outer layer of the rice. But the problem with it is that for a lot of people, it has like anti-nutrient effect, right? It can also affect different people that have like some gut issues. It can be a gut irritant. So, I'm kind of indifferent to rice. If somebody is doing enough like heavy exercise that they need some carbohydrates to like replenish muscle glycogen, rice is a great way to do that. My issue with it is when you start having it at every meal, those calories crowd out other foods that are a lot more nutritionally dense.
Right.
So, I'm a big believer in eat your vegetables. I think you want to eat high quality proteins. And so what I want to make sure of is that you've got enough kind of calorie allotment to do that without crowding those things out with, stuff that basically fills you up, but really is not doing much for you from a nutritional standpoint. In fact, in a lot of instances, it's kind of sending you backwards. So we'll check on this in just a second.
We got about 15 seconds.
Yeah, let's see what.
And tell me again, what is the temperature you're looking for?
So I'm looking for about 130.
Okay.
All right, so let's see where we are.
And turn off the timer.
Not yet. Well, yeah, we're probably going to put it back up. Yeah, so see, we're still, this thing, I think those people's estimate was pretty much under. So we're at 93 here.
Okay.
90, 78, and that's fine. So I'm going to turn it up just a touch.
How much longer would you like to set the timer for?
Let's set it for another 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Have it bubbling just a little bit
Yeah,
more.
just a little bit more, just to see, because I don't want to hammer it,
Mhm.
you know. Yeah, that's sounding like a little too much of a rolling boil. Drop it down just a touch. Okay. I think what I did before was shut it down a little too much. I think I just turned it completely off.
Yeah.
Let's try that again. Yeah, that was it.
Bummer.
Mm-hmm. That would take a real long time.
So having a meat thermometer is absolutely critical for this stuff. For sure.
Yeah, I think it is for me, it is for everything, because otherwise what's happening is that you're cutting into stuff to see. And a lot of times I think what you end up doing is that you just overcook things because, you know, you're worried about eating raw chicken.
Mhm.
The guy that does, so Kenji Lopez, a lot of people have probably heard me refer to him quite a bit. He worked with the guys with Cooks Illustrated in their test kitchen. So he did a bunch of work, and he worked with the guys with Thermal Works, who do the people that make the thermometers. What they figured out, and this is actually some stuff that's kind of like buried in some of the FDA like documents. I never have been able to find one of the originals. But what they look at is that they look at the relationship between time and temperature. Because if you cook something like you cook chicken to 165, at 165, all the pathogenic bacteria is killed. Okay,
Mhm.
but you can also accomplish the same thing by cooking at a lower temperature and holding it at that temperature for like 3 minutes.
Mhm.
So like with chicken, it's like I think it's 153 for 3 minutes. You've killed everything to the same degree that you would at 165. And for things like chicken breasts that are notorious for being like overcooked and dried out, you know, that to me is the way to go. Same thing with, you know, and then the other piece is like with pork. I just, a lot of the guidelines were based around like a long time ago when you had to worry about like trichinosis. Well, they pretty much eliminated that from like the pork industry. So, you know, the main thing that you have to worry about with like trichinosis is if you're eating wild game that's carnivorous. So, you know, there's a guy that I follow that has a hunting show. He got trichinosis from eating like medium rare bear meat. And he was like, never again, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, he still eats bear meat, but he makes sure that it's cooked well done.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll check this. We got a little over a minute and a half. So I'm going to talk about what we're going to do next week. So next week's going to be recorded, but what, because first of all, there's going to be time lapse in it, so I won't make you guys, you know, be subject to my banner for, you know, 30 minutes or an hour while it's cooking. So next week is going to be cow tongue. It'll be cow tongue tacos and a carrot slaw. Years ago, I forgot how many years ago it was, I did cow tongue for, I think, Jude, what was it, 4th of July?
Uh-huh.
And we were both like going, oh, this is kind of creepy, right? Because I just am real committed to, we need to honor the animal. If we're going to, you know, eat beef, we need to eat the whole animal, as much of it as possible. So I'd heard that, hey, cow tongue's actually better than you think it is. So I was like, yeah, I was pretty skeptical. This stuff is fantastic.
It is pretty fabulous.
So what I'm going to do next week, and I'll, like I said, I'll record it, and then the recording will be available next weekend, is I'm going to cook the cow tongue in an Instapot for about an hour and 10 minutes. And then I haven't decided, I'm either going to cook it, like finish it off on the grill or in a cast iron skillet. Probably do it on a cast iron skillet. So it's because the tongue will already be cooked in the Instapot. And then what we'll do with the cast iron skillet is that we'll just like kind of provide some crust on it. All right, let's see where we are here. Yeah, I think we're getting closer.
How can you tell?
It's just the color of the meat is different. Yep, one. Well, that's depends on where. 101. That's 117. Yeah, we'll let it go. That's see that piece right there is 132.
So how do you decide then when to?
Well, because what I
decide?
remember what happened last time was like, yeah, see, like this is 150 there. Is it like went real quick, right? In other words, it was like, okay, it's way under, and then boom, all of a sudden we're at temp. So like we're 135 here, and I think what would happen is that it would, you know, it's all going to come up to temp as it rests.
It just sits and rests.
Yeah, that's another good point too. So we're at 120 there, and we know that with the, so I'm just going to take a temperature of the milk itself. Yeah, see, I'm at 205. Sorry, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover this, and I'm just going to turn it off, okay? Because it's going to continue to gain heat out of that. I will, actually what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it in there for like 3 minutes. Actually, would you set a timer for 3 minutes? Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let it sit there for about 3 more minutes. I'm going to take it out of there and put it on this. So I'm going to wash this off real quick since it's got raw fish on it.
You're going to let it sit for a while?
Yeah, just for about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Because I want it to come up just a little bit more, but I don't want to like just hammer it.
Okay.
All right. And then I'm going to use 2 different spatulas. This is a fish spatula. There's a link to it, I think, on the site. It's a Vitronox. Man, I am a huge fan of this thing. I use it both for things like fish, but also I use it for burgers on the grill. It's got a real thin forward edge, so for, like to get under something, it's great. Obviously, it's metal, it's stainless, so you don't want to use it in a non-stick pan. But I'm trying to more and more move to either stainless steel or cast iron. I still will use non-stick, but it's not like kind of automatic going to it like it was before. So I'm curious. Have you guys ever cooked with cow tongue before? I'll be interested in seeing the reactions on that.
Where do you buy cow tongue?
Oh, so I got this from the farmer's market. But what I was told, my physical therapist is from Colombia, and she was like, no, they have it at HEB. And I hadn't even thought to look at HEB. I'm sure I would be relatively sure that Fiesta has it. I mean, any place that has a significant like Hispanic population for clientele, because I mean it is like lingua tacos, okay, and once people kind of get past the what they find. Well, Jude, what was your impression of it?
It's very tasty. It's really, really, really wonderful.
Yeah, and you thought you were getting like roped into some kind of bad stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, it is odd, and the flavor was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the meat itself was really tender, and it was just, yeah, it's very good.
All right, so let's see.
So one of the participants has had it but never cooked it.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll see if we can change that. All right, let's see where we are now.
Make you feel like a badass, chef if you know how to cook tongue.
That's right. 133. Yeah, we're good. All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to put the platter right here. See if I can do this without making too much of a mess. Everybody always tells Jude how lucky she is because she has somebody that cooks for her all the time. But, you know, the part they don't get is that I make a mess. So she's
True.
damn patient from that
I
standpoint.
do have to work for mine. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Whoops. Actually got it there without it coming too far apart, too much apart.
Beautiful,
Okay.
beautiful.
And yeah, I'll show this. Here's where we are. All right.
Wow.
And then, you know, it's funny, I think I said in the recipe that we'll put the lime juice in. I put it in ahead of time, but I don't think it hurt us any. So let's just see some. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's the same way as it was before. I mean, you get the contribution of the fish, like, you know, in essence, it helped make that almost like a fish stock.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, the fish then got the benefit of all of the other, you know, the lemongrass, the garlic, the shallots, you know, all of that contributed. So, you know, I think, like I said, you guys are going to be real pleased with this. Like, by all means, save the poaching liquid. And
it's also good just to pour right over the
absolutely,
too.
Yeah. So, guys, thanks for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day, and look forward to cooking with you guys again in the future. And check HEB or Fiesta in Austin for cow tongue. If you're not in Austin, I would just call around to the grocery stores, because you know, it's one of those things that you think it's going to be like impossible to get, but a lot of places carry it. So anyway, look forward to cooking with you guys soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.